Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, and this is your NBA Finals Game 3 betting guide, best bets episode for Game 3 between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets as the series shifts to South Beach, tied 1-1. It's actually technically not on South Beach. It's pretty close, but it's not technically on South Beach, but it's in the vicinity, so we say it's within range. Reminder, everything we talk about today can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. Best way for you to track your picks. You get up the second information where the bets and money are coming in. Pro signals, so you can track things like the sharp money that came in on Miami late, right before tip-off of Game 2, as the Miami Heat do cover and win outright in Game 2 behind a 49% three-point shooting performance for the Miami Heat, despite a 40-burger from Nikola Jokic, as the Heat strategy to make him a passer make him a scorer and not a passer did work to some degree. We'll do best bets for Game 3 of the finals. To do that, I've got three gentlemen with lightning good. Is that a word? Lightning good best bets. We got Brandon Anderson. He is the NBA futures analyst over at Action Network. We got Sean Little of MSG Networks. You can find him on Twitter at Chicago Flow. And we got Jay Money. You can find him on Twitter at JMoneyIsMoney. We'll go around the table. We'll give our best bets for Game 3. Then we'll do the cap. Let's start with Sean today. Sean, what's your best bet for Game 3?
Denver Nuggets team total over 108.5 minus 110 FanDuel Sportsbook.
All right. Jay Money, what's your best bet for Game 3?
My money is on Denver Nuggets minus a 2 full game. You could take 2.5 money line, whatever.
All right. Brandon Anderson, what are your best bets for Game 3?
I'm going to take the Nuggets to win the first quarter at even odds, and then a couple of series leaders. Jamal Murray on assists, 7-1, and Max Strus on threes, 19-1.
Okay. My only best bet for this game, I will have some props that I will inevitably lose because I can't stop betting them, even though I'm terrible at them. I'm betting the first half under 110 again. Just keeping it simple. First half, one under. First half, under. That's what we're doing. Let's start with Jay on the cap. So Jay, series now shifts to Miami. Denver's a 2-point favorite on the road. This is not surprising. The Celtics were 3-point favorites in their games on the road versus Miami. They did win some of those games. So obviously an opportunity there for Denver to retake home court advantage. Why do you like the Nuggets in this spot in particular?
Well, first off, we get a little bit of the coming back home fade after being gone for about a week. They hadn't been at home since May 27th. And now when we know that right after Game 7 in Boston, they flew straight to Denver here. So I'm expecting a little bit of a letdown for the Heat. Full zigzag theory here for me. Whoever was lost Game 2, I was taking in Game 3. So, I mean, to be honest, I would have liked a little bit more if the Heat were coming down home 0-2. That way you could take them in a trifecta spot. But I'll take the Nuggets here. I think they win this series. Game 3 is the most pivotal game as far as winning the series as well. The Nuggets have to go in there and take one in Miami. If they do happen to lose Game 3, I'll take them. I'll double up and take them in Game 4. But I fully believe Nuggets win this game by 10+ points. The Heat they threw their punch, right? So now it's on the Nuggets to react to that. Kind of what Spoelstra like to do. He'll throw things out in Game 1 and Game 2. After that, it's not a ton of adjustments from there, right? He made Jokic be the scorer. I think the Nuggets are going to have to counter. Look at some film, and he's going to have to go back to the passer as well. So he can't just only be the scorer. I need him to be the scorer and the passer here. I like the Nuggets in Game 3 to win this from my double digits.
So you feel like the Nuggets have the ability to counter what the Heat have thrown at them so far?
I do think so. I feel like now I will say this. I know Brun off the bench, the rookie. I think they might need to go to Reggie Jackson here. I know he's not the greatest defender, but you need his offense. The Nuggets will have to go deeper into their bench. Everybody keeps telling me Nuggets have this great bench. I don't necessarily think so. I think he's going to have to go a little bit deeper into his bag. I don't know if I know Ish Smith is pretty small, but you need someone else out there. One more thing I don't like to see Bruce Brown running a point guard off the bench. He's not a point guard. He's more of a shooting guard in my opinion. Yeah, he can play point, but I need to see Reggie Jackson, Ish Smith. They're going to have to go a little bit deeper into their bench to create more offense, in my opinion.
As someone that covers this team on a nightly basis, I will warn you that if you're like, well, they need to get deeper into their bench, you should not be betting Denver. They're not gonna. Like, it is gonna be these 8 dudes. That is it. They're not gonna go to Reggie Jackson. They're not gonna go to Ish Smith. They're not gonna go to DeAndre Jordan. They won't go to Thomas Bryant. They won't go to Peyton Watson. Like, it is just these 8 dudes. Malone is not gonna break that rotation. It's simply not something he's gonna be comfortable doing. And maybe that's a mistake. I don't necessarily disagree with the notion that you should probably try more options because the Heat are just throwing dudes out there and being like, what But ultimately, if part of your cap is based off of us, like the not assumption, but pivoting on the possibility of them playing more dudes, I don't think it's going to happen. I can't see Michael Malone getting away from his 8-man rotation in game 3 on the road, especially of the finals. So, but do you still like him anyway if they don't do that?
You know my style, man. I like him. Whoever is out there playing the game. It's just my opinion. I would at least Reggie Jackson get at least 10 minutes, in my opinion. From what I'm saying, I don't want to see Bruce Brown run the point guard, but I don't give a damn who's playing. Give me the Nuggets -2.
All right, I like the
Free
comment.
Reggie Jackson.
All right. Sean, so you're going back to the team total. Well, you've hit those throughout the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
Why in particular do you want the Nuggets in the spot?
Yeah, I like the Nuggets in the spot, and I'm going to over 108 on the team total flat out because if they don't score 110 plus, I don't think they win the game. So I think they have a real good shot to show up in the zigzag spot, just like Jay said. I like, if there's anything that I feel the most confident throughout the series is that they do have the ability to score when they are playing even B plus Denver Nuggets basketball. I think they do show up in this spot. They play terrible the other night, and a lot of things were going against him. I know we're going to get into it and break it all down. I expect them to come out and score 110. Now, if the Miami Heat are going to continue to put up big numbers, and if they score 112 plus, 113 plus, they're probably going to win this game. So I think that every time we doubt the Miami Heat, they seem to show up. That's the reason I don't want to take them on the money line. Like I mentioned earlier, my biggest bet of the season is on the Denver Nuggets -1.5 on the series spread. So I'm exposed there. I believe in the Nuggets. I think they show up in this spot. I'm going to play the team total because that's the most thing I'm confident when it comes to Denver is the offense. I was digging into some of these numbers on the home and away splits because we know Denver is a sub 500 team on the road. They've been absolutely lights out at home. They haven't played too well on the road. Now, their PAR on the road versus at home. At home, points, assists, plus rebounds, 194 at home. On the road, 181.4. So the ball sticks a little more. They're just not producing. They're just not as oiled as they typically are at home. But if you go to 2 days rest, 2 days of full rest, which we'll have here in between game 2 and game 3, they're back up to 189.5. They played 12 games on 2 days rest this year. Their turnovers go from 15 to 13. I just believe it'll be they'll use those two days to get some more rest, adjust to what's going on, kind of evaluate their different options. They haven't been the best on the road. I think overall they're just a better team. I also think that is a massive piece in this. I'm trying my best not to get too blinded by what happened in game 2. There was a lot of different things, and I'm not going to get into the referees and the different things that were going on there and the shot making, because I guess we just have to think that Miami's going to show up and hit a lot of shots here or there. That's just what it is now. Like, forget about being shocked and if it was lucky or if it wasn't. They're going to have a game or two like this in a series. That's why these have been going 6+7 7-game series. That's what they've been doing the last couple seasons. So I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets team total over. They show up in Miami coming off 2 days of rest. And Michael Porter Jr. played the worst game he's played in the playoffs. He was absolutely horrendous. I think he'll play a lot better. It was almost like both teams went and watched and listened to every Buckets episode, every media outlet, every television show. And then Denver just thought they could show up to the gym and relax. And from the tip, Miami was on their ass and never let up. Last point. One thing about the Miami Heat is if you give them confidence early, it seems to stick the rest of the game. No matter what happens in the middle, they go down 10, whatever, they continue to have that belief, and they close out games that way. Strus and the guys came out early. They were all over him in the first quarter. They still only closed it. It was a 1-possession game at the end of the first. It could have been a tie game if Murray hits that shot. But the beginning of the game, if they get that confidence, they tend to stick with it throughout the 4 quarters. Denver Nuggets need to come out and stay on them like the Boston Celtics did in game 5. They never let up that entire game. That's why they were able to fade them even on a late 4th quarter push. I like Denver to show up and score 109 plus. I'll take the Nuggets.
I like the rest spot analysis there. That was really good. to kind of break down exactly the context, because that gets lost in the regular season a lot, is how teams perform when they've actually got some time to get their legs under them versus traveling and then playing the next day. So that was really good. So based off of your game script, to me, it looks like this, which is Nuggets win, and it's Nuggets win and Nuggets team total over. Heat win, and it's combined total over and Heat win. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, that's my game script through and through.
Okay. Brandon Anderson, after did they win the first quarter last night?
They did not.
I honestly could not remember. That's right. It was a 3-point game at the end of the
3-point game. Yeah.
Right. They made the push. They made the push that I was counting on at the end of the quarter, but I needed like one more minute. It didn't quite get there.
But you're going back to the well with good old, you and I are relying on like our blankies here and cuddling very close to what we know. You're taking Nuggets first quarter again. Tell me why.
Yeah. This is just a game that I don't see a ton of value on the game or the series right now. So this, to be totally honest, this is me trying to find a bet to give you listeners on the podcast. I did bet Denver right after the game 3 opened. I bet the money line -115. Love that. I would love to give you that. Hopefully you tailed in the app, but the money line's up to -140 now. I think that took away a lot of the value. Nuggets -2.5. Like, to me, I don't mind those. I would lean both of those sides if I was going to play a money line or a spread on the game. Those I'd play Denver, not Miami. But to me, those are basically about at my numbers here. So there's just not a ton of value. So then I'm trying to isolate. Okay, that's my thing. How can I give away some outs? Where can I find the angle to narrow in on something about Denver that I like? I looked at the team totals. I like the idea, Sean, what you said with the Denver team total over. I looked at to win the game and the series. That's kind of an obvious spot here. If you like Denver, go on and win the series. I see that at -105. I think if you're going to play the full game, that would be my pick of the options, because if Denver does win this game, that I think is the coin flippiest game of the series, then Denver moves to 85% to win the series if they win this one. So all that is not my bet right now. My bet is I just narrowed down to like, okay, well, what do I feel best about? What am I most confident in? And I did basically just going to run it back the idea from game 2, which is, well, I feel Denver comes out and responds. Jay kind of said the zigzag thing. I think Michael Malone is going to rage timeout for 2 days after that game. Like, all the preparation, the Nuggets were horrible. Michael Porter Jr., horrendous, terrible. Got lost on so many rotations, didn't make an impact offensively, didn't hit the rebounds. KCP, horrendous. Terrible game for KCP. He put Miami shooters on the line for 14 free throws in this game, including 2 3-shot fouls. Just terrible. Fouled out in the game. Aaron Gordon, not terrible, just kind of not anything. I don't feel like we really felt Aaron Gordon in this game compared to game 1, where we felt him, bam, immediately right out of the gates that way. Just a game where Jokic showed up, and I guess they got the second quarter bench stretch without him. But other than that, the rest of the Nuggets guys didn't show. And I just think you come out proud, you show up, you're a little readier. Matt, you nailed last game, the Nuggets game 2 swoon, and that hit me on the first quarter thing. Like, let's be honest, Max Strus hit me in the first quarter. The dude made 4 threes. What are you going to do? But that's the Heat. That's what the Heat are going to do, is hit the threes. So I like the first quarter. Again, same as I said last time, I get Nikola Jokic for 48 minutes of my bet. I get Jokic for my entire first quarter bet. That's the way the rotations are going. If I got him out there, I'll feel pretty good about it. Denver net rating on the road in the postseason is +13.8. It's actually even better road than it is at home. And as we've seen everywhere, Miami has a negative net rating in all 3 quarters, except for the fourth quarter, for the entire playoffs, despite that they now have home court advantage in the finals as we speak. So this is not a huge play for me. I think it's the best way I can isolate a Denver angle and just grab the first quarter.
Notably, I did lose Heat +5.5 on first half. They lost. They wound up being
by the hook.
By the hook. So that was fun. I do want to take a small victory lap here for slicing that middle, first half under, full game over. You're still mad about it, but it hit. Like, I had the cap on it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel like this.
You're victory lapping, hitting an inside straight draw. Congratulations! I'm glad you won both of the bets.
I mean, look, I still got killed because my props got annihilated. Michael Porter Jr. rebounds, nope. Michael Porter Jr. double I told you on, nope. Jimmy Butler over on points, nope. The Heat scored all of these points, had a 130 offensive rating with the starters, and Jimmy Butler was quiet, passive, and non-existent. Tough one on the prop side, but sides and totals, I did well as always. Look, I don't want to bet. I'm with you. I don't want to bet this game. I understand why Jay's on Denver. I understand why Sean's expecting a bounce back performance offensively. The Heat were the better team in game 2. They played better. They only won by 3 because the bar is so high. They played better than Denver, but Denver as a team is so much better that this was a 3-point game in the final second. And the only reason that Miami won, and actually the officiating, whatever, a bunch of 50-50 calls went against Denver. Okay. They should have responded to that better. They've been good at responding to officials all season long, and they lost their minds last night. KCP and Joker, when Joker had 3 out of bounds plays go against him, he just lost his mind a little bit. And the team responded to that. KCP was really undisciplined. That's uncommon for him. MPJ can't hit anything. Even if he's bad on defense, he can't shoot. That's uncommon for him. And then it's double tails here where the Nuggets play horribly in all of these areas. They don't typically play terrible. The Heat shoot 49% from 3, which again, I'm not going to Fred VanVleet this. This is sports. That happens sometimes. But the double tail performance happens at the exact same time. But that's been Miami's formula all throughout the playoffs. So that's where the pushback is going to come from, which is well, this is an outlier. That's just how they play. And I'm like, okay, then you should bet them. Again, we talked about this in the series preview. If you think they're going to keep shooting 49% from 3, you should bet the Heat to win the series. You can still get them at plus money in a 1-1 series. I have a separate question, which is that we won't record until after game 3, and the market will have already hit. Jay, will you bet whoever loses game 3 and game 4?
Yes. Simple answer.
Okay. Sean, will you bet whoever loses game 3 and game 4, assuming no injuries?
No.
Okay. Brandon, will you bet whoever loses game 3 and game 4?
No, I will probably just bet Denver in game 4 either way.
Okay. So if Denver wins, you're going to like Denver to go up 3-1. If Denver loses, you're going to like them to even the series because you can't you don't believe that they'll go down 3-1.
Correct.
Okay. So now you have so this is good because we have a variety. We have the whole spectrum of opinions here. I would say that I lean more towards Jay. I think we're 2-2 here because I think that if Miami loses game 3, I do think they respond in game 4. There's just enough variance plays here. I will say this. There are a lot of ways that Miami can win these games, which is one of the reasons why they're in the finals, is they can win a game in which neither team plays well. They could have won game 1. They were okay. Could have is difficult. If they had played not horrible, just not great, because Denver wasn't great in that game either, right? Denver, they can win an ugly game in which both teams play terrible. They can win a game in which they play great and the opponent plays terrible. They can't win a game in which they play great and Denver plays great. They can't win that one. If Denver plays great and Miami plays great, they can't win. But on the road, that definitely, I think, leans more towards Miami. So, I think if Denver wins game 3, I will bet Miami in game 4. Sean, for you, is it as simple as just Denver's better? And so,
yeah. Well, I think for me, I took the question as I'm blindly betting 4 and haven't seen 3. So there's so much stuff.
Sure.
That
yeah,
can
for
happen.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm not holding you to it.
Yeah. That's more the reason I just automatically lean no. So what you just laid out about Denver playing really well and Miami playing really well, Denver's going to win that all night. I agree with that. There's just this thing about Miami where it seems like when something does fall off, someone else picks them up. Strus hit 4 threes in the first quarter, didn't hit another one. Then it's Duncan Robinson time, and then it's Gabe Vincent time, right? Yep. Caleb Martin doesn't do anything all night. They kick it to him in the corner in a big dagger type spot, bottoms from 3, right? So it does seem like they get the production when necessary. And what I'm getting at is what happens when Jimmy shows up and then all these other dudes show up too? Like then it can get really spooky where they are going to be very tough to beat, even if Denver plays extremely well. So I think that's the reason I have to see. Jay Money taught me, and we talk about this all the time. It's game to game. So I can't even look to the game 4. I'm looking at the first half of this game 3 in Miami coming up, because Denver flat out was not ready for the pressure that Miami was getting ready to put on those boys in game 2. It was almost like Celtic like.
Yeah, but can I also
Yeah.
want to mention this, because like I would tell you, and I would write about this if it was like ball pressure on Denver, forcing mistakes. It's like Nikola Jokic throws a pass to Michael Porter Jr., who just watches it sail out of bounds. Like, it is the weirdest shit you can imagine.
They were still way more aggressive though to start the game from the tip.
Yeah.
Miami
was
extremely aggressive to start
100%.
the tip. Something that I don't know if Denver wasn't expecting that or what was going on, but
I think
once that confidence was built there, then they sustain it. They've done that all playoffs.
I want to get Jay's thoughts on this and yours as well, and I want Brandon's too. Denver hasn't been behind in a series at all. They are not behind technically; they're 1-1, but 1-1 losing home court is like pretty close to being behind, right? What makes you believe that this Denver team is wired to respond to the pressure that Miami is applying in whatever this weird voodoo shit that they pull is able to do? Whether it's like, if you wanted to be like, they're just the more aggressive team and they've got a mental toughness. Okay, fine. I'm telling you, like, I'm watching the games and I'm like, I don't know. It just kind of feels like they hit 49% of their threes, but I get it. Jay, what makes you confident that Denver can respond in this situation and deal with that?
Well, I figured out the Nuggets a long time ago. They sometimes have to get smacked in the face, and they also get a little fat and happy. So we knew off game 1 win, they were going to come in thinking the series is already over, thinking things were easy. What happens? The Heat go out there and smack them in the face, get the win. Now it's on the Nuggets to respond. I fully expect them to go and get game 3, and then you get the fat and happy coming in. Then you get the Heat in game 4 and an absolute must win. I think that they take that one. Nuggets go home. Like, the Nuggets can still win in 6, go home and win 5, and then you got to go and take it in Miami in 6. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a 7-game series, but the Nuggets are just too wishy-washy. They can't really play too well when they're up. I'm still surprised they swept the Lakers, just because, like I say, they're a fat and happy type of team. They can't really put their foot on your necks like they should. They could have won game 2 by double digits as well. They led by 15 points. Then they let the Heat come back. So they're just one of those type of teams that they have to get smacked in the face first for them to come back and play their best game. I guarantee you, KCP, Jokic, and the guys are going to be ready for game 3.
Sean, what makes you confident that Denver can bounce back here?
Yeah, to follow up on that, I think they were fat and happy, got smacked in the face to start the game, and then they were like, "Oh shit, we better get it together." They end up going up 15. Then Jokic understands that it looks like I'm going to have to score a little bit, goes crazy in the third, and then the fourth happens, and it happened so quickly. The 8-point lead disappeared so fast.
Yeah,
because Duncan Robinson locked in, that pressure started to build, and then it became a possession by possession basketball game, and that is the Miami Heat's dream scenario. Let's go possession by possession, get in the half court, and do what we do: knock down big shots, create turnovers, and just I guess mentally will people and lean on teams in the fourth quarter and get W's. That's what they've been doing. I think Denver is going to respond because they got a little. I think this is hard to explain how I'm feeling here, but I think you have to get that punch from the Heat to know what it feels like.
Okay,
this is a different team than other squads that they've played. Now that they've felt that Heat wave come in and what they can actually do, I think they're going to be locked in and focused the rest of the way. I like the Heat, or a lot like the Nuggets, to still win in 6 games.
Brandon, I turn to you because this is a lot of talk about feeling and pressure and narrative, and I can trust you for a very objective look at this. What is your read in terms of Denver's ability to perform contextually in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think game 2 answered that question really for us in a weird way. Like Jay was right. They came out fat and happy. They fell behind by double digits. What happened? They responded. They responded and laid the smackdown on like a 40-14 run or something. What happened? They got fat and happy again after that.
Exactly
We
right.
got the double down effect. But then they got punched in the mouth again in the fourth quarter. What happened? I thought it was done. I was like already writing up my notes. The game is over. Denver got cooked, double digits. We're out of here. Suddenly, Denver, like 30 more seconds in the game, or, a correctly called goaltend, or a couple other things we can mention, Denver probably wins the game. Go to overtime. Every one of us here is picking Denver to win that game. It goes to overtime. I'll tell you that right now. Like, we were right there. Denver got punched again, and it took a second, but they responded again. Why am I confident that Denver should respond here? The best game that Denver has played this postseason was their most important one. And it was game 5 against Phoenix when it was 2-2. And that was the closest we've seen Denver to trailing a series or being in a truly pressure spot. And that was the hammer spot. That was my biggest bet of the postseason so far. Now, granted, that was in Denver. So that was part of the cap there in the elevation. But that was the spot where Denver came out and totally took control against Phoenix. And Phoenix didn't win again. That was, I believe, Jay and Sean, that was when we came on, and that was my plus money day. That's when I made my only exact bet of the entire season, Denver over Miami at 16-1. That, my ticket went down a little bit after last night, but I'm still feeling pretty good about that. That game is the confidence builder to me. That game was the one where we saw, like, to me, I had to look at Denver differently after that game. I picked them. I thought Denver to win, but I didn't even think they'd win that convincingly. That was like, oh, we're different here. This is a championship squad. You heard me all year. One of my worst bets I made all year is that down near the stretch, I kept telling people to bet the East to win the finals. That clearly did not set up well for me the way that we got the 8th seed in the finals now. Part of that is because I like Denver all year, and I didn't think Denver was going to beat Boston or Milwaukee or Philly, which is what the finals would be. That game, the game 5 Phoenix game, that kind of flipped the switch to me to say, okay, no, we're real here. We've got that championship punch response, and I think that's why we should feel confident about Denver.
Okay. Good stuff here. Brandon, I need 30-second caps from you on your 2 series long prop plays. You like Murray to lead the series in assists at plus 700 and Max Strus to lead the series in threes at 19-1.
Yeah, these are mostly nibbles, just playing the numbers here. Look, our guy Jim Turvey in our props preview got beat me to Jamal Murray and then some. He took it at 42-1. Hopefully you are already on this if you tailed that one. Murray has 38 potential assists for the series. Jokic is at 28. That's 10 extra potential assists. Murray is leading in assists right now, 20-18 for Jokic, 16 for Butler. Butler is, that's the long shot ticket I had. We talked about this on the props preview. This is in play. It's 7-1 right now. Murray's the leader. Murray has 10 extra potential assists. I'm going to assume they find some ways to unlock Jokic's passing, but that's not like scoring. You can't just force passing and make your other guys hit the shots. So I think that one's in play. I think Jim nailed that one. Threes, my guy Max Strus, over 1.5 threes in 2 minutes last game. That was the easiest hit of the day. He right now is leading the series in 3-point attempts at 19. Reminds me a lot of the Knicks series. He was the leader in threes in that series with 17. He's a better 3-point shooter at home than on the road, 37% at home. That's an angle that we've heard on Buckets a lot this year. So now we're coming home for 3 of the next 4 games. We probably assume we're going to get all of those 3. So right now, Strus, Vincent, MPJ, and Murray, those are the only 4 guys in the series with double-digit 3-point attempts. They'll have 15 or more. So it's one of those 4 guys going to lead the series. Vincent has 9. He's got the big lead. This is the Derek White last round. And I'll say Derek White ended up winning this, but by 1. I'm chasing. This is the one I wanted coming in. We got our leader now. Vincent is the guy we're chasing. I'm just counting on him to cool off at some point. Strus has 4 now. So 19-1, and the volume he's getting up, I think just give it a shot. Just a nibble on both of these.
I want to wait on finals MVP until after game 3. We'll do that on the next pod. I want to wait on that one just because I think I think I won one series. Obviously, like, look, if you think the Nuggets are going to win, we said this before. If you think the Nuggets are going to win, you should just bet Jokic MVP. That's what you should do right now. Like, there's that. I don't think there's much question there. Heat are a lot more interesting. Let's wait until game 3. All right, Sean, final thoughts.
Was Eric Spoelstra deflecting when Ramona Shelburne asked him about the making Jokic into a passer? That's the untrained eye. Is he trying to get people not to think that's what he's doing?
No, because, like, here's the thing. The way the coaches think about it, and I feel confident that they're not lying or bullshitting me on this. The conversations I've had are mostly off record. Coaches will tell you pretty honestly, like, we literally, like, we know what everybody else is going to do. There's only so many things you can do on the court. You can throw some tricky stuff out there, but once it's on tape, it's out on tape. And, like, we have scouting departments that spend hours and hours and hours doing this. They're not the first team to try this tactic against them. Jokic did have 11 assist opportunities, which is lower than his playoff average of 16. But you also have to factor in how goddamn slow this game was. We're talking about 86 possessions. So, like, if we adjust for pace, we're not significantly off his average assist potential rate. Like, it's just not necessarily there. His assists are lower because Michael Porter Jr. can't hit water if he fell out of a fucking boat. But, like, in general, it's not that I don't think the tactic is working, because I think there's something to it. Like, that's their best path. That's what they want to get to. The difference, though, I do think here is that, like, Spo tried to tell everyone, he was like, it's not going to be about scheme. It's going to be about effort. It's going to be about how hard we play and how well we execute. It wasn't tactical adjustments in game 2. They did add Kevin Love. Kevin Love didn't have a monster game. He made a few plays, but, like, mostly the Heat played better, which is what Spo said. So I think, like, Ramona's question elicited a really great answer, which is what you should do. Even if you get dunked on, that's what you should do as a reporter. I don't think it's a dumb question. Everyone's asking about it. Everyone's talking about it. But I do think Spo was being honest in that he knows that there are mechanisms that they could get to if Denver executed better that would have resulted in a higher assist total. And that higher assist total would have meant a Denver win. So, like, the margins here are slim, but this is more part of, like, the Heat's entire game plan, which is we got to limit the number of possessions, because we can win if it's like this game is decided by 4 or 5. We can't win if this game is decided by 15 possessions. They're going to beat us. So that, to me, is my read on that. Brandon, you think people should not bet the series prices right now? Why?
Yeah, I think so. And I want to respond to the Jokic thing that Sean just asked about as well, because I think it's a chicken and egg argument here. Like, what's the cause and what's the effect? And I think that we're getting it backwards. Like, Denver is losing because Jokic is scoring. We see the stat. Oh, they're 0-3 when he scores 40. So cause effect. It's the opposite. Denver is losing. So Jokic is like, well, my guys ain't doing it tonight. I guess I'm going to turn into a scorer. Like, he is solving in real time that he knows. If we know the stats about his assists and his points, he knows the stats. I promise you that. So I think that's him responding. Matt, before the series, when you and I had just the two of us on the series preview podcast, toward the end, you asked me specifically if the Heat win game 1, or what would the Heat have to do early in the series for you to come off your Denver position? I had a very specific answer to that question. Do you remember what my answer was?
Brandon, I've slept 5 hours. I don't remember anything. Okay, help me out.
So my weirdly specific answer was, I compared it to the one game that Jimmy Butler missed in the Knicks series, where Miami came out and fired up a billion threes. And I noticed that they went for the shot variance thing. They went for game variance, took a ton of threes. And I thought that if Miami came out firing a ton of threes, because part of my cap was I didn't think Denver would allow them to do that. If they got up a ton of threes, then I might have to reevaluate a little bit. So I watched that in game 1. If I recall, I believe Miami got up 39. Not a huge number. Not a good number, more than Denver had been allowing, but not a huge number. Here's what I missed. The thing that you were just talking about, Matt. The pace is glacial. It's not about number of threes. It's about percentage of threes. Denver, for the series, is getting up 43% of their shots as 3-point attempts. And at a sub 90 pace, the thing that I feared that Denver might fall into the trap of, or maybe just that Miami is forcing the trap of, to me, the Heat are playing Ivy League upset ball right now. When you watch in March Madness, when you watch for the upset, the teams I love to look for in the upset is two key factors: slow the pace way down, bomb a ton of threes. To me, that is what the Heat are doing, and it is playing honestly. The Heat are telling us with their style of play, we know we're not the better team.
Yes.
We don't have to be the better team. We just have to give ourselves a chance to narrow the gap enough. Less possessions means less chance for the better team to be better. So that's less chance for Denver. Like you said, Matt, it's less chance for them to get up to the 15. Just keep it close, give ourselves a shot, hit those shots late. Let Duncan suddenly score 8 in a 2-minute stretch. Hit those threes. Let Caleb Martin's shot finally fall. And then it's the 3-point attempts. Last night, game 2, 87 pace for the game. 45% of Miami's shots were threes. Of course, you have to make them still too, but you do that formula, you might lose horrifyingly sometimes because now you didn't make the shots and it was just threes. We saw that Boston how many times where Boston just keeps jacking threes up and can't hit them. So to me, here's the takeaway from that. I had Denver 80%, just over 80% to win the series. Right now, I have them just slightly under 70%. I scoured looking for the right bet. Matt, on text last night, I told you, Nuggets in 5, get out of here, we're done. I still think that is a possible to probable outcome, but I also think that the books are pricing just about everything almost just dead on in the series. I don't think there's value here. That doesn't mean that Denver's not the favorite. Denver is the favorite. They're just being priced accurately as the favorite. I do now have Heat to win the series is a more likely outcome than Denver in 5 or 6 or 7 individually. Denver in any of those still is well ahead of Miami in an individual spot. But to me, a takeaway, part of why I like Denver in this game 3, and we'll like them again in game 4, as I said, the shot variance thing, the pace, the threes, to me, a thing we've seen in the series and now in the playoffs, that is neutralizing the home court advantage of teams. It's turning into more of a, like the thing that I think that I'm frustrated with, that a lot of us are, is we don't want to come on the podcast and say, well, they made 3. So that's it. That's the analysis. We'll see if they make 3s next game. Does Boston make 3s? Does Miami make 3s? I don't know. That's what happens. Miami is doing that on purpose. They're turning this into a 3-point contest, and that gives them a chance. To me, it takes them from probably can't win the finals to probably shouldn't win the finals. That's an upgrade. They've given themselves a shot. I think it makes Denver less, how's the way to say this? I think Denver is less of a favorite in their home games because Miami has closed the gap to give them more of a shot. But I think Denver has a better chance now in the road games because Miami drops their floor with the higher 3-point attempt rate as well. So the home court advantage is a little bit neutered here that Miami just stole.
And as we know from the Matt Mitchell rule, if you're going to win, you're going to cover. So even with the Nuggets being a favorite, I know that you love that slice of the analysis. All right. We got to go.
Matt, do you see a scenario where Miami is a favorite in a game in the series?
Yes. We saw that in the Celtics series. I think if they win, if they dominate a game 3, I think they would be favorites in game 4. Sean?
In that game 2 that BA just referenced, that Jimmy Butler missed at the Garden, 85 field goal attempts for the Miami Heat. 49 of them were 3-point attempts.
Yeah, it's 58%. It's the highest of any team in the postseason this year.
Okay. All right. That's going to wrap it up for Buckets. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. Follow J Money on Twitter at JMoneyIsMoney and on YouTube. Follow Sean on Twitter at Chicago Flow. Follow Brandon on Twitter at Wheaton Brando. Check him out in the Action Network app. My thanks to David Payne, our producer. Also, his grandma. Shout out David Payne's grandma, listener of the podcast. Thanks for listening, Grandma. We will see you guys again after Game 3 for Best Bets episode. We'll do that on, what day is today? Today is Monday. We will do that on Thursday. We'll probably have some more content with some more folks. I am headed to Miami. We'll probably have an episode up tomorrow, kind of reacting to some things. I'll get you some reactions from Media Day as well. Make sure to check that out in the feed. Thanks for joining us. See you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.